on a daily basis, what I normally would do is I would pack my bag. Now, there are so many pretty bags out there, so many convenient bags out there that they've made to where you just like unzip and then your pump is like open for you to just stick it in, plug it in, and start, working. Me, I didn't have time. I found a bag, actually a bag that they gave me at the hospital, where they give you like formula and like instructions on how to breastfeed. So I used that, and it's my little Similac bag. And some women have actually stopped me and said, hey, you got that bag, you must be breastfeeding. So they know. Every day, I packed up my pump, and as you can see, it looks pretty used. I prefer the Medela brand. I've actually never used another brand, but this baby has never let me down, and this has been used for a year. It's everything. So this is the Medela brand. I forgot what the official name is, but I will make sure I link it below. It is something that you can get from your insurance. At least you should. Again, if it's not available, do your research and find out how you can get it for free. There are other brands that they offer as well. At least at my job they did, but I went with this. This is the one I use with my daughter. This is the one I use with my son, and this is the one I always recommend. So this is my pump, and I actually lost, or I think I left the plug somewhere, and thankfully there was another mom who had just finished breastfeeding and she had an extra plug. So this is actually my second plug. I believe that you can order these. If not, on the website, speak with your insurance once again and see if you can get this. I believe birthing centers, at least local birthing centers for where I am, have supplies like an extra plug, extra, what are these called? Extra these. But again, do your research, because sometimes you might lose a piece and then you don't want to be stuck the day that you need this piece and your breasts are engorged and your baby's hungry. Like, you don't want to take those chances. I would always say that on top of getting these that come with the plug and the extra cords and stuff, to also just have backups just in case. I believe the box that this comes with does have backup covers and membranes, and we'll go over that in just a second. But there are certain things that they don't have backups for, so make sure you order some extra whenever you can. Just trust me, you're gonna need at least one of each of these, an extra one. So I had that. I had some Ziploc bags, so that's what I took. I took some Ziploc bags, and every day I put one of these in the bag, and I took a tall bottle because I wanted to be able to pump into this and store it in the freezer at work. Now, some people don't feel comfortable in doing that. They like to put it in a bag and mark it or whatever. There are some weirdos out there, ladies. I'm sorry to say that I found people actually with my daughter, and I used to put it in the fridge, open my milk to smell it, because apparently they wanted to know what the aroma of breast milk was. But I would say that if you have a small enough workplace where you know people aren't going to do it, don't feel, any type of way. You can put it in the freezer, you can mark the bottle. If you feel more comfortable, put it in a bag. There's coolers that they have, which I actually have in the freezer right now, and you can put your bottle in there and no one will be the wiser. At least they shouldn't be opening lunch boxes, but we all know how that there's that one person at work that seems to think that everyone's lunch is their lunch and everyone's bottles are their bottles. Either way, you're perfect. I don't even know how I did it. Nothing but God, because I promise you, I probably had a stash 3 times in this entire year that I was breastfeeding him. And it was only because during those 3 times he was away from me for at least 24 hours. So I was able to actually pump and then store. But it never made it past maybe like 10 bags in the freezer during those times. And then if I, didn't have the supply as much as was needed for the demand, I'd go in my stash, and then my stash was non-existent. So it was okay. I prayed over my boobies, and we were able to make it. We're almost there on that 1 year mark. So another thing that I normally would pack in the bag would be these amazing wipes. They are, upside down. I ordered them with my flex spending account. So there's an account that you can get from work. Again, do your research. And they allow you to buy products. And now they're even better because they have an online store where that wasn't available with my daughter, or maybe at least with the insurance at the time. And with this account, I can order breastfeeding equipment. So Medela being my #1 choice and brand, I would get these amazing standing wipes. So if you have a nursing room that's not located near a sink or near the kitchen at your workplace like mine was, I would take these wipes and wipe down my bottle. I would wipe down my funnel. And even though I knew that it wasn't absolutely clean, what it would do at least would remind me when I came home or when I got a chance to clean it even better. But at least it wouldn't have that stinky milk smell, because I'm telling you, after a few hours of milk just sitting in there, if it's not a full bottle, or for example this, you know, would have the milk residue from the pump, if you weren't quick enough to go to the bathroom and wash it out, or maybe you just didn't feel like it, maybe you just didn't feel comfortable in doing it at work, then to just wipe it down and throw it in your bag. And this is why I did Ziploc bags, because I could just throw these out and get another one. And I don't know how environmentally safe that was. It worked for me. So I would take one of these and I would just wipe it down like this. And I would take the yellow part out. This is not called the membrane, but it's part of it. The white part, I believe, is the membrane. And all the names are online when you order the pieces. So I would do it like this and then throw it in the bag. Most likely I would pump one more time, and so I would have to rinse it out, but normally I would do that at the very last break that I knew that I wouldn't be needing this again. So that's that. And then on the flex spending account, I also got one of these. This is amazing because this was the car adapter. So when we were on road trips, long trips, or if I was working on a event, because my husband and I do photography, during the event I would just be able to go to the car, plug it up, and then pump. So I didn't need like a plug. I didn't have the extra battery, even though they do sell that. I would use this, plug in my pump, and I would have to say that this was a little bit less powerful than the actual plug that you plug into the wall. For whatever reason, I think the voltage is different in the car, maybe just the plug itself. But I did order this. It was a lifesaver. I've used this multiple times. So this is another thing that I would definitely order. And then also in my bag, vitamins. So B12 vitamins, I like gummy vitamins. This helps with your energy, but I would always say never take this on an empty stomach. It is always best to eat and then take your vitamins, so that way your stomach doesn't feel like that. I describe it as scratchy, or like a scratchy feeling, because that's what I would normally feel if I didn't take, or if I didn't eat before I took my vitamins. All right, and then we all know these, my pump and save. As you can see, I use this box a lot because it's like falling apart. But these pump and saves, once you're done with a bottle and you know that you want to store it, and you don't want to just keep it in the bottle there, you can put it in a pump and save and throw it in the freezer. I would put these, label them, put these in the freezer at work, and no one would actually open these because it's sealed. They were frozen, and so the creepos didn't really think anything of it. So that worked for me, but that was everything that I put in the bag every single day. There were some nights that I would forget something, so that's another thing that I want to tell you. A great tip is to make sure that not only do you have these with you every single day, but that you also have extra. So in a box of bottles that Medela usually sells, you would have more than one bottle. So what I would do is I would create another Ziploc bag with the bottles and with an extra funnel, so that way I would keep it in my desk. So I wouldn't be calling my husband and saying, hey babe, can you grab this from home? Or I wouldn't have to go back home and get something, or ask anyone who I knew was breastfeeding to borrow any of their pieces, which isn't really strange. I've actually done it, but I make sure 110% that I sanitize their items, I sanitize my items that I let them borrow, and even when they bring it back to me and they've sanitized it themselves, I sanitize it again. You can never be too cautious when it comes to your child, so it's just one of those things. Have I ever borrowed from a friend? Have a friend ever borrowed from me? Absolutely. This is a tribe that we're part of, and we help each other. And so I would definitely say get the extra pieces, get the extra bottles, so that you can also store them in your desk, store them in your car. So if ever there is a time that you forgot, that you're running frantically, you're running late, or that you're just too tired that you completely forgot. That's okay, but be prepared. And I also had a bag like this with my manual pump, which I can't locate right now, but once I find it, I will be sure to do another video for that as well, because that was another lifesaver. So there was one in my pump bag, one bag of this in my big bag, my purse, and then I had a couple in my desk. And then I would leave one in my husband's car to make sure that in all 4 places, no matter what, I would always have what I need. So being a working mom, being a traveling mom, being a breastfeeding mom in general, there's so many different aspects to it at all times that you learn more as you go, and through experience you learn what to do and what not to do. But like I said in my video before, I want to be the one that you can go to, or at least to give you a tip, enlighten you in any way possible of what you can do to avoid and alleviate any stress, because I know what it felt like to be on your phone in the middle of the night at work trying to figure out how to get your life basically when it comes to this breastfeeding thing. So if you have any questions, anything that I haven't addressed yet that I might be addressing in another video or that you would want to see in a video, let me know. I am so passionate about this because not only was I able to see how far my body could go in sustaining life for my children, I was able to be tenacious at work. If I'm missing a day and a half of work in a sales month, then I'm not going to idly, waste the day that I have while I'm on the phones, while I'm making the sales. So I think that if anything, this breastfeeding journey pushed me to be a better salesperson, pushed me to be a better employee, pushed me to be a better mom and a better wife for my husband, because I also took into consideration his feelings, his needs, his time. So if I knew that pumping at home once we got home would take away the time from me and my husband, I would make sure that I did all that I could at work so that I would have our intimate time together, in the evenings. So there's so much more that I could talk about, but this is one video of many. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting, engaging, sharing. And again, if you know anyone who needs this advice, please share the information below, and just keep on expanding our tribe and enlightening each other on what we can do to be even better. So I appreciate you. This is YoungFabFancy, and I'll talk to you later. Take care.